Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Societal Narcissism, and this stream is sponsored by contribution from Candace. So, hope everybody's doing well. Let's just make sure the other stream is running. I am streaming on both Rumble and YouTube right now. So hopefully we get some people in to join the chat. So what's up? What's been going on? Before I get into the context, I'll give you a little what's going on. We have been looking for somewhere to move to. There's just not a lot available in our price range. It's a tough spot. Also, we've been going through depositions with Charlene's fall. A lot of preparation for that, a lot of back and forth. We finally had the depositions last week, so that part of it is moving forward. I can't get into too many details about it now because we're in that stage. Her disability claim got denied, which it always does the first time, and now it's an appeal. That's why you have an attorney. That's the process. Her Bell's palsy is, I'd say, 90% better. Like the left side of her face is still misfiring, but she has at least control over it. She can move it. She can close her eyes now. Now she's not sleeping literally with one eye open, which was weird. That went on for 9 months. As far as her pain hasn't really gotten any better. It is what it is. The other thing is that, and what the video is really about is what's going on with me personally, and situation back up north with Erin and my ex-wife and me. And I'll say this, I have to come to the reality here. And I'm going to get into everything. Okay? Is I have been a complete fool. A complete fool to think things up there weren't going to end up exactly how they ended up and how they are right now. And the purpose of this channel was a running video log of what was going on in my life, so Erin could please come back and look at it and see I was fighting, and see I cared, and see I loved her, and see all of it. And I really thought the truth would be enough to overcome, the true narcissistic master that my father is. And to think I was going to be able to do that from a distance of 1,500 miles was insane. Now, am I saying moving to Florida was insane? No, I had no other choice, because if I didn't, it would have. I know the game. I know the playbook. My father loves calling the authorities. He loves getting that over you. He loves it. And that's exactly where it was going. And I really had hope for the relationship with Erin. Obviously, as much as I wanted to see her, when she was younger, I knew like realistically, it just wasn't going to happen. Emotionally, it couldn't happen. It just couldn't. And they were never going to let it happen. So moving to Florida was just, you have to put distance. You have to go no contact. And though I wasn't going no contact with my daughter, I had to go no contact with the rest of the situation. I know I tell everybody the tenets of narcissism, you got to cut all bridges. You got to burn all bridges back to the narcissist. It's tough to do when you have a child. And I've been consistent on that. And you guys have been with me through the struggles, how the channel started up. I had them back in 2015. I had them on the hook when they fucked up and they forged my name on loan modification paperwork for that house. I had them. I had them dead to rights, hook, line, and sinker. They couldn't get out of it. Even if the authorities wouldn't have prosecuted, which if I forced it, I would have forced their hand because I know forgery laws. Know how it works up there. That's what I did for a living for 19 years, for however long it was. But with the mortgage company, even though she was caught in the fraudery with the mortgage company. The mortgage company canceled the modification. They denied it. You heard the phone call, the second phone call with my mother, gaslighting mother, lying on phone, where they admit to the whole, I didn't know, they did it. I got the call from my ex a couple days later saying that the loan modification, that the mortgage company would redo the modification if I signed it this time. And Charlene told me not to fucking do it. Don't do it. You got them. No, they were going to let me talk to Erin. They were going to let me talk to Erin and have a relationship with my daughter. So I let him off the hook. I let it off the hook. Oh, you're going to put your daughter out on the street. She was never going to be out on the street. Parents have multiple properties. She's never going to be out on the street. And we're going to talk about that later on too, because this is all going to tie together. And I was talking to Erin. That lasted all of 11 months because that was in July of 2015. And that was good all up until Father's Day 2016, 11 months. And then, they set up the situation where, I'm waiting around all day Father's Day, no call, the whole nine. I get a call finally at 11 o'clock and I get this bullshit. I'm a piece of shit. And I'm crying all day yesterday. That is another day, another Father's Day without my father around. And my point was, well, why did you wait till 11 p.m. to call me then? And that was basically the last I had heard from Erin until 2021. I think maybe I talked to her one or two times. I can't even keep it together anymore. But I finally got a call from Erin or a call back from Erin, because I never stopped calling up there. You know, I'd go months without calling, just give it up, and then start trying again. Hundreds, thousand calls up there unanswered, thousands maybe unanswered. Outright, please, begged her to call me. Please, I'll give you whatever you want. I'll do whatever you want. I got to a point that I believed once Erin got out of that house and got to an age where she can be away from her mother, because the few times I had talked to Erin, it was, you know, when her mother wasn't around. And that was the impression that she was giving me, that having her mother, like, that she could only really call me when her mother wasn't around. And that was right before she started college. She called me twice within 2 weeks, which was just unheard of. And then she started college, and I basically never heard from her again. And during these 2 years, I'm still fucking lying to myself. Like, there's some reason, like, no, she could have called you anytime she wanted to over these last 2 years. She chooses not to. And I see what's going on up there. You know, again, Drunkie dies in 2018. Good riddance. Her sister dies 4 days later the same week. My mother's direct competition dies a year later, 2 years later. All this time, I'm sorry if I'm going to be, if I go back and forth. Now, mind you, all this time, my ex-wife isn't paying the mortgage on the house they're living on for 10 years. No mortgage for 10 years. The last mortgage payment she made was the day before our fucking divorce finalized. Living in basically a free house. She must have been paying the taxes on it. She had to have been, otherwise they would have seized it. So maybe she's paying the property taxes and the PSE&G bill. Other than that, she's making $100,000, free benefits, no mortgage for 10 plus years, crying victim to anybody who will listen, living her Gilmore Girls fantasy, which is what she's been wanting her entire life anyway. So I don't understand where the anger really is coming from. Or the anger is just really just part of the character, I guess, of being a Gilmore Girl. I'm sorry. I really am. I'm sorry. I mean, and this is what makes doing the channel so hard sometimes is this is my life, and I got it. Like, this is my life. I'm living it, and I'm giving validation through other people. But God damn, it takes a toll. It just does. It just takes a toll. So, free house. Her father dies before we leave. My ex-wife's. Then Her brother dies in 2020 and her mother dies 6 months later, or 2021. They die within 6 months of each other. Finally, last like January, they finally get her out of that house and sell it. Finally, even though, and I'm calling up there because I am getting call for a year and a half, 2 years. I'm getting call after call after call about these companies wanting to buy the house out, wanting to stop the whole thing, even though my name was supposed to come off it years ago. Because I'm the main signer. It's my fucking mortgage. But she was going to take it on and take it over, and never happened. And I was assured of that again when I re-signed the modification, that she was going to do a full refi, and that never happened. She made like 2 payments on that modification in 2015, and that was the end of that as well. So they get up, she gets 10, 11 years basically living for free or just paying the taxes on the house. Walks away from it free and clear. And where do they go? They move in exactly where they would have moved in 2015 if I had just stuck to my guns. They move in with my father. Now that Drunkie's dead, okay, I always said, and I told them, whichever one of you dies last dies alone. And that was never going to be true if my father died last. It would have been true for my mother. The worst I could do for my mother is make her die without me ever acknowledging her. Last words I ever said to her were, "Fuck off, cunt. And I wish death on you." I told her, you'll be dead in 2 years. And she was dead in less than 2 years. Let me remind you again who my father is, what his history is. Okay, this is a man who has been faking a disability since 41 years old because he was about to be fired from Abraham and Strauss. Again, I found his personnel file when I worked for Macy's. Abraham and Strauss, which is Federated, bought out Macy's, and then they just rebadged all the old Federated properties as Macy's. Brooklyn was the personnel hub for Abraham Strauss. I was the records keeper because I was director of security for that building. I could get my hands on anybody's records I want, anything in the archive. They were getting ready to fire him. He was on final warning, and he threw himself on the floor, and that was it. Said, "Oh, my heart, if he passing out." He was able to scam the disability system for about 7 years before they caught on and told him right to his face, "You're faking. You're faking." So what does homeboy do after he has his disability cut? Well, listen, my mother was always good with money and everything that she was doing. They go out and they're able to buy a shore house on that. But in the meantime, my father, then the old woman across the street, Dottie, falls down the stairs in the wintertime. Okay. My father finds her like a hyena finding some prey. Oh boy. And within like 6-7 months, she had basically died because she was an old woman and you fall, and that's the beginning of the end. But in the process, he got her to sign off leave all her possessions to him, including the fucking house. This is in like 1994. A house which he sold for $225,000 in 94. Go do an inflation calendar and see what that would be worth today. So with that money, they start buying properties down the shore and they're living the life. They don't even need the disability money. They'll complain about it to anybody who'll listen, like they're going fucking, like they were going broke. But again, that was just a grift that basically ran out on them. And let's not forget what happened, what he did with Virginia, my mother's mother. When they went over to the house to go see her after years, knowing she's crazy, knowing they go and she won't let him in, and they could see in the door and they could see the whole house is hoarded out. And then they come over to my house with my ex-wife, like in tears, like, oh my God, the house, and she's doing this and doing that. What do we do? And I'm like, call adult services. They didn't even know what that was. Like, it was amazing. My father didn't even know, like, there was like adult services, like a adult ACS or adult DIFUS, Division of Youth and Family Services, but for older people in New Jersey. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, there's a hotline. I don't know, like, and for some reason he was like scared or like what are you scared? So I go, I call, I find, look up the number, I find it. This is on a Sunday, and they answered the call. Talk to an investigator. They sent somebody out to Virginia's house. About a week later, I get a call at work from my father. ACS Adult Services at Virginia's house. They're taking her out of there. I'm like, oh, okay, really? So I go, I leave work, I go over there, I talk to her, you know, there's Virginia, oh, Matthew, like, oh, I understand my hatred for this woman. Like, I just fucking despised her. I despised her, but I knew what she was capable of. I knew what I knew what she was up to. Understand the concern for her, from both my father, my mother, and the whole family and me, was could give a fuck about her health. It was all about the money. It was all about the money. They're wheeling her out on the gurney, taking her to the Nut Hut, taking her to Bergen Pines, because that's where she was going. Got her keys. She was like, and she like reaches for me in the ambulance, and I just slammed the ambulance door. Boom. My father was in that safe within 10 minutes of me having those fucking keys in my hands. Was in that house. Now, the house was a hoarded out mess. It was a goddamn disaster. She shouldn't have been in there. No, it was dangerous. There were fires. There were like small electrical fires being caused because she had so many electric blankets plugged into extension cords. It was a goddamn disaster. Within 10 minutes, my father was in that safe because he knew where she kept the safe combination. He was in that safe because she knew that. He knew where she kept the combo, and she knew that's where the will was. And he went in there, and lo and behold, found a new will where she cut everybody out except Ginny. Cut my mother, cut my Aunt Barbara, the other sister, cut me, my brother, everybody. And was going to leave everything to this friend who was grifting her. Okay. Now, my mother was the executor of the old will. So they still had the copy of the old will. So what does my father do when Virginia's locked up in the Nut Hut? He destroys the new will, goes into the Nut Hut, tells Virginia, we found your will and you're never getting out of here. And she never got out of there, and she was dead from congestive lung failure 3 months later. However, she didn't last very long. She lasted a month, and it wasn't even, it was maybe a month. She lasted a month in Bergen Pines, and then they moved her to a permanent facility, and then she lasted a week in that permanent facility. She was clawing everybody, and then they moved her to another one. And when they moved her to the second facility, the one where she realized, I'm not getting out of this. She was dead within 12 hours of congested like that. And where did the congestive lung failure come from? Well, it came from probably close to I'd say 2000 hydrocodone, Percocets, Vicodins, any kind of painkiller, that she was doctor shopping all over New Jersey, and she was high as a fucking kite, and she burned a hole in her esophagus. Food went into her lungs, rotted out. She drowns in her own disease. But we got that will. Destroyed that will. More money. She had already sold her beach house. So there's my father restoring her house, fucking 40-yard dumpster of hoarded out goddamn nonsense cleared out. And then they sold that house for, I think it was like $500,000, $600,000 they got for it. I don't remember. This is back in like 2006, 2007. Just keeps on going. Just keeps on going. Then my marriage falls apart. We all know the story there. My ex-wife, and I said, my ex-wife's father dies in like 2008, 2009. Then her brother and her mother die within 6 months of each other. So she's out of the house that she was living in, that I lived in. But now she's got her parents' house in South Carolina because she's the only living heir. Her and Aaron. And now that house is on the market for close to 4. Not 4, but it's close. And who's running that show? Obviously my father, because I know my ex-wife. I know she can't handle any of that. I saw the listing on Zelle, and the floors are all updated and painted. I'm like, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that's my father's work. My father went down there, fixed up what he had to, probably sold off the Corvette, sold off the other cars, sold off got 2 live-in maids, wiping his ass for him now, taking care of everything. My mother out of the way. He can do whatever he wants now. And as annoying as it is with the money and all that, it's still not the cherry on all this. Still not the cherry on all this. Because though I say, the money sucks and it's aggravating struggling the way we struggle here. To watch these people play fucking victim left and right and just keep collecting and collecting and collecting and collecting. I could live with that. That's the way of the world. I get it. That's not what bothers me. It doesn't bother me that my ex, all she apparently her whole life is based around being a drunk, drinking this, liquor that, everywhere. Liquor. Drinking. Which is what I was always preventing her from becoming anyway back then. Could live with that. So when I was a kid, and when me and my brother were kids, my parents' house where we grew up in Hasbrouck Heights, we had a big house. And my parents' house and the house next door were both built by the same builder in the Depression. And there were supposed to be 3 houses. There was supposed to be a house in between our house, and the neighbor's house. Guy ran out of money in the Depression. Everything went under. was just an empty lot. So that lot went to my parents' property, to the house I grew up in. So it basically had a big house and a big lot that another house was supposed to be sitting in. In fact, there was even a second driveway next to the lot because they put the driveway in before, before they built the house. So you got this giant piece of property that, you could play ball on. Father was constantly kicking us off. Yeah, it's fuck about his lawn. But back then it was about a pool and a hot, like all your friends are getting pools. You got this property. Like people like, why won't like they'd ask my father, well, they're like, why don't you put a pool in? Like what? And my father, like, I'm not putting a pool in. Pools are nothing but work. Hot tubs are nothing but work. They're just another thing you throw your money into, like a boat. Even though he got a boat, it got washed away, but he got another one, obviously, through insurance during Sandy. And this is for years. We were after him. Put in a pool. And then when he got the shore house down the shore, why don't you have I'm not putting a hot tub in. I'm not doing that. There's work and money, like the whole nine. I don't want the work. I don't need it. I don't this and that and the other thing. So Drunkie dies in 2018. Sandy happened. When Hurricane Sandy went through there, it knocked the house off the foundation. They had to jacked up the house like 10 feet into the air and put it up on pilings. So the last time I did talk to Erin back in 21, she was telling me that, my father was looking to sell the shore house after my mother died. And Erin, like, no, I love that house. And she made it sound like they insisted that he keep it. Okay, great. I don't think he ever had any intention, but he just wants to make, that's one of those things that he does that, makes you think you're making a decision he's already made. And then he could say, I only have this house because of you. So, like I said, Erin's going to be 20 in 6 days. She'll be going into her junior year of college. And she's beautiful. Let's just put it this way. She's not built like my wife. My ex-wife. She takes after me and my mother. She's very, very attractive. She's a very pretty girl, beautiful girl, and in shape. Anybody want to take a guess what's in the backyard of the shore house at my father's? Anybody? Anyone want to take a guess? Now that my daughter's in college, hanging out with college girls and college friends and bringing friends down to the beach house. Anybody want to take a guess what's in the backyard? You got it. I need the fish. A fucking hot tub. A hot tub. You telling me at 75 you want to put in the work? You telling me at 75 years old you're going to put in the work for a hot tub? After your pain in the ass wife is dead, now that your granddaughter is in college, and I know that might sound real like, well, who would look at their own children like that? His family. Because it's exactly what his father would do, okay? With my cousin Kristen ogling her in her bathing suits at her father's fucking pool, making inappropriate comments, remember, pouring all over my house when I was growing up. My mother in fucking lingerie, okay, on the refrigerator. Naked pictures of her in the fucking bedroom. Her walking around in goddamn lingerie, Playboy magazines, and fucking pornos all over the goddamn place. Go to clean out my grandfather's business in 2001 when he shut it down. I open up the door behind the closet door behind his fucking desk, and from floor to ceiling is fucking porn mags. Shiza porn, like, and we're not talking Playboy and Penthouse. We're talking some fucking German shit, okay? We're talking some fucking German shit. It's in the family. It's in the family. And this is where I get, because my ex-wife knows this. But she'll take the cash and the prizes. She'll take it all and cry victim. That's the thing. That is what I can't. And I look at this and I'm like, of course it ended up like this. You fool. Look at who you're dealing with. And you gotta, at some point, I gotta tip my cap to him. Just as an opponent, like, God damn it, you're good. God damn it, Brian, you are good. You got another woman. You got another woman to fucking just property and money and access to weird shit. And it's my daughter now. I don't want to put all that work and this and I don't work and that and work and I'm not doing that, and it breaks and you're paying this guy. Now that Aaron is 19, 20 years old, bringing college girls down the shore. Now there's a fucking hot tub in the backyard. You fucking creep. You fucking creep. And on top of that, all the money that was paid in child support. Let's not forget. Oh, that number. Fuck it. $93,605. Unbelievable. Not unbelievable. But of course, this is where it was always going to end up. They're good, man. They are good. They're good at this shit. And at this point, I have to think, disgusting old man. You disgusting old man. I know what you're about. I know what you're doing. You're like, oh, you're sick. No, I'm not sick. I know you. Making us stare at our own mother in lingerie on the refrigerator through our entire fucking childhood. Ugh. And all the while acting like they're victims of something. They're victims of me somehow. So that's what's been going on. And that's why you don't let the narcissist off the hook. You got him in your sight. Take the shot, because you're not going to get it again. Because when you don't take the shot, they just see it as weakness. That's all I did in 2015. They bought themselves 11 months for me to put my guard down and then do what they wanted to do anyway. Because I didn't take the shot. And what would it have accomplished? You know what it would accomplish? It would have made them pull the mask off even sooner. Would that have been enough? I don't know. I don't. It just sucks seeing these people just get over. They get over and then they play the victim every single fucking time. So that's where I'm kind of at. The channel will carry on. The search for somewhere to live will carry on. Anybody knows any place cheap in Florida? Just let me know. Let me know. Looks like the case might wrap up within a year. Might go to trial soon. So just keep your fingers crossed. Going to be getting picking up the what I have in the queue, bang out these narcissism stories. I just have to do them and just deal with it. And bear with me, everybody. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate it. And those of you who've gone through this, you know, it sucks. And again, I feel like a fool. Like, of course this was going to happen. Of course he was going to figure out how to get his hands on everything. On everything. Not only ruin my relationship with my daughter, but now creep on her. And now just creep on her. So, and there's my idiot ex-wife drinking her face off, getting tattoos, okay, crying misery of why I'm so alone. Sorry, Staley. And that's what you get. So when you have the narcissist on the hook, don't let him off. I'm going to wrap it up there. If you guys want to get your story on the channel, you want to support the channel, you guys know what to do with the links in the description box below. Cash App, Zelle, PayPal. Just email me your story. And if you want to sponsor, just put at the top of the email you're looking for a sponsor. Make sure you're following me on Rumble. Both my channels on Rumble, Telegram, and Twitter as well. Again, please support the channel. And again, and I know the channel is inconsistent, but it's inconsistent because mentally you just can't. You just can't live in this world every single day. You go out of your mind. And I'm sure you guys, most of you understand that. All right, everybody. I want to thank Candace again for all your support and for sponsoring the stream. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. Take care, everyone.